Good morning, everyone. I'm Alex Ramos. I'm a solution consultant at ServiceNow. Today I'm going to be providing a little bit of an introduction to the ServiceNow technology, and I'm really going to focus on three areas where we've seen our customers really been able to use ServiceNow to transform IT. Quick little bit of logistics. Due to the large turnout we had, of course, we're very excited about that. We will keep everyone muted today. If you do have a question, please type them into the chat window, and that way we will be able to respond. We will send written responses to all the questions that were asked, along with a link to the recording. So if you want to go back through and see anything again, you'll be able to reference that. Now, with that little bit behind us, let's start into the demo. And this is the last PowerPoint slide that I'm going to be using today. From here on out, it will be in the live ServiceNow product. The reason why I want to start here is because we've seen our customers have tremendous success with ServiceNow, and it's really not just an improvement or an optimization or an evolution of technology. It really is a transformation in the way that they conduct their business. And this transformation takes shape in really three areas. The first one is consolidation. It is the ability to standardize on a single system of record, that is ServiceNow, to manage all of the work that IT is responsible for. Everything that IT is putting their time against, all the projects and operational work, the audit work, the request fulfillment, all the things coming into a single system of record that provides a single repository for everything that IT is doing and everything that IT is working on. The second is the area of consumerization. We all have our favorite applications and websites that we visit in our home life, things like iTunes and Amazon and Google. And we feel like that enterprise technology should feel like the tools that we have at home, both for IT and also for the end user. So for us, consumerization means providing an experience that's much more like Amazon and a lot less like the DMV, or if you live in Michigan, the Secretary of State. And the last area is in the area of automation. For us, this really begins with process automation, the ability to automate task generation and approvals and workflow within an organization and within IT's processes, but it also extends out into our customer's data center, and we'll talk about that just briefly. So without any further introduction, I'd like to jump right into an instance of ServiceNow. And again, we're going to frame up this conversation really on those three areas. So let's start by having a look at the ServiceNow dashboard, the ServiceNow website, from the perspective of an IT user. We've logged into an instance. This is a live instance of our technology. It is hosted in one of our 10 data centers. Data centers are installed in pairs. So there's 2 in the US for our US customers, and through replication, through mirroring of that data, we provide active high availability for our customers. And in this way, provide a very high level of service to our customers. If you look at the left-hand side, you see a menu of what we call applications or modules. And chances are you're going to recognize these as IT processes. ServiceNow is built from the ground up with ITIL version 3 as a blueprint. And so you see that we've got a number of processes that are aligned to ITIL version 3, things like incident, problem, change, release, configuration. All of these things were areas that were very easy for us to create because they align with the ITIL standard. But we also recognized very soon after that was that IT was doing a lot more than IT service management. And so we very quickly built out a number of other capabilities, like software development lifecycle, like project and portfolio management, like IT asset lifecycle management. We built these out because our customers had asked for them and because it just made sense. And we gradually ServiceNow has developed into a solution now that tracks everything that IT is working on. In addition, we keep information that's relevant for IT to get the work done. So For instance, there's an integrated configuration management database, an integrated knowledge management database, an integrated asset repository. All of these things come together in what we call the consistent single system of record that is ServiceNow, a single place where all of the information that IT is maintaining is stored. In the center, you see what we call a home page or a dashboard. And I oftentimes like to start with this one because it gives a very good impression of the kind of information that is available in this consolidated system of records. You can see at the top we've got IT projects coming from the project and portfolio management application. You see that we've got budgets, we've got availability, we've got computers by manufacturer coming from the asset management application. You can see contracts and contracts that are expiring coming from contract management. You can see incidents coming from the incident management application. All of this data is in the same underlying database, and so it can be reported on in a holistic way. Each one of these content blocks is essentially a small report that we've written to display the data. And I'm going to show you in just a couple of minutes just how easy it is for people to create their own. Now, as I mentioned, there's a whole number of these dashboards or home pages that are available in the base product. The one we're looking at right now is really intended to be more of an IT leadership view. But if I were part of the service desk, perhaps I would have something that looks more like this, with a scrolling ticker and some work queues and users by location, or some other chart that made sense. Note here, again, just on the point of consolidation, if I look at this type of work that my team is involved with, or that I'm involved with, you can see that this is not just incident management work. It's different types of work. So change activities, problem tasks, probably have some incidents here as well. All of this, again, coming from this single system of record, this consolidated view of data, and it really is empowering for everyone, but specifically for technicians, to be able to see what's all the work that I'm responsible for and how do I want to prioritize and address that work. Now, as I mentioned, these home pages are completely out of the box or out of the cloud, as we sometimes say, and they're intended for different roles within the organization. But they're not limited to just the out of the box. And in fact, an end user can actually make changes here. So if I want to move some of this data around, it's simply a drag and drop process. If I want to add new content, I can do that in a very easy way. And this is really adding content now to my own copy of the dashboard. If I looked at one of the many hundreds of things that I could possibly add to a dashboard, perhaps I want to add something like my group's open incidents by assignment. And here I get a little snapshot of what that looks like. I can add it right to the center right of this dashboard, and now I've got that chart showing up on a version of the dashboard. This one happens to be a service desk, so it could be Alex's service desk dashboard. Now it's a copy of the dashboard, and you'll see that added to the list of dashboards that I have available to me. This data in these dashboards is live. If I click into one of these bars, I'll see the data behind the data. So here's all of the incidents that made up that bar in the group. And I can interact with this data in a very powerful way. With a right click, I can say, just show me the critical ones, show matching there. Again, with the right click, I can export this data into a variety of formats. And I like to show this because this user interface, this list view, is available across all of the different applications. So whether I'm looking at incidents, problems, changes, assets, it's all in the same system of record. It's all accessible through the same user interface. Now, as I mentioned, those dashboards are made up of essentially individual reports. And if I drop into the reporting application, you'll see just how easy it is to create the reports that we need from this consolidated system of records. So from here, you can see everything on the left are reports that are available in the base product. So we include probably over 100 of these in the base product, and they're reports that provide data from the different applications on ServiceNow and provide data that either we've seen customers asked for, or perhaps in the case of KPIs, could be things that ITIL has recommended. These are really great starting points for our customers to create the reports that they need. But perhaps they want to create, more commonly, they want to create their own reports. So it's very easy with a click to drop into the reporting configuration tool. From here, I can give the report a name, and I can pick the type of chart that I want to see. You have pretty much anything you would imagine: pie charts, bar charts, list views, pivot tables, trend charts, Pareto charts, all the different kinds of charts you'd expect. You can report off any table within ServiceNow. So again, all this data in a consolidated system of record, all of it reportable. So if I wanted to report on an incident, the table is called incidents. Revolutionary, right? If I wanted to report off problem, PROBLEM, I can report off the problem table. All of this data is accessible through the same user interface. Perhaps from here, I'm going to group by configuration item. And I can just save the report real quick, so I'm looking at what I think I'm mocking up here. Let's remove this last row, which is other, and save it one more time. From here, I can add filters, like perhaps I want to include something that says active is true. It's just like your iTunes playlist. And from here, maybe I want to include a date field. So maybe created on the last 9 months. Notice how that when I add a date criteria or a date field, I automatically get a date criteria. Makes it very easy for people to create the reports they need. I'll add one more thing here. I'll add the priority to a little bit of a stack up. So now we'll see all the new incidents broken down by business service, showing with stacked priority in this graph. If I want to make this available to someone else, I could publish it. This gives me a URL that I can send or put in a portal on a SharePoint site. I can schedule it to be sent by email on a periodic basis. Finally, I could also add it to my home page. If I have it in a format that I like, maybe I'll make it a little bit smaller for purposes of real estate, I can add it to my home page, just like we did before, drop it onto the screen, and now we have that report on my dashboard. Okay, so that's the first area that I wanted to talk about, the consolidation of data, the ability to not only manage all these different processes within ServiceNow, but also to report back out in a very, very easy way. So next, we're going to switch gears. Let's talk about the second area of transformation, which is the consumerization of IT. And perhaps this is a term you've heard before. Perhaps you've heard it too many times, but really, what it is taking cues from the products that we use in our personal lives, as I mentioned before, and applying those to enterprise technology. If you look at what we're seeing right now, this is the employee self-service page. This is the non-technical view into ServiceNow. This is what our customers see when they log into ServiceNow. We've distilled things down into a very, very easy to read, easy to find user interface, broken things up into a couple of key areas. Now, what we're looking at currently is the base view of the self-service portal. I say base view because this is completely configurable within the ServiceNow application. And if you look at some of the things that our customers have done, they've been able to completely rebrand the look and feel of this self-service portal. So just a couple of quick examples. If I move over to this tab, this is the self-service portal for Ohio State University. If you look at the colors and the fonts and logos, it's very, very much in line with the branding of the university. It's very, very clean, easy to use, almost has like a Windows Metro look and feel. But it's very easy for people to get the help they need, to order services, to open the tools and search the knowledge base. Here's another example. I don't have a login here, but this is NetJets, another customer here in the Ohio Valley area. But you can see that they are, in fact, running on ServiceNow. And if you were able to log in, you'd see that they've done a really nice job of rebranding their their self-service portal so that it matches the brand, the very high aspirations that NetJets has. Okay, so I'm coming back around. We'll, for the purpose of the demo, we'll stay within this base version of the self-service portal, but keep in mind that anything is possible as far as the branding of this goes. I'm going to start all the way at the right here in this area of Get Help, because this is a really common area where organizations start with self-service. And from here, this is really an entry point into the incident management process. Now, for an end user, they're not thinking incidents, they're just thinking something's broken. And from this page, we can have a configurable form that inputs or allows the user to input the information that IT needs to start that process. So from here, which application is down unavailable? Notice it's pulling that from the list of applications within ServiceNow. These are just some follow-on questions that our customers configure to begin their process. So things like, when did the problem begin, and is there an error message? If so, then what is the error message? You can even drag and drop screenshots onto here. From this page, I can put a little more information and go ahead and submit. As the user, I get confirmation that this item has been opened. And I can always come back and interact with the incident in the service desk. So if I need a status update, I can ask for that. If I figure out how to solve the issue on my own, I can click Resolve, which is the first step in the closure of the incident. Coming back to my self-service portal here, we have an interface into the integrated knowledge management system, the ability for end users to search for things like, I'm having trouble with my Outlook, and how do I get and configure permissions for my email, calendar, and tasks. Nicely formatted HTML. Knowledgebase article can include links and multimedia in this. Can actually ask the end user for feedback if they're having trouble with some part of the article or they need some clarification. The last area that I will touch on here is in the area of order things. This is how we interface into the ServiceNow Service Catalog. In other words, provide a very, very e-commerce-like, intuitive interface for people to order the goods and services that they need. So for instance, somebody needs a new phone. It looks very much like you'd expect, like the Apple website, in fact, providing a little bit of information about the device. IT can provide information about how it's supported and what the cost is. And from here, an end user can see the price, pick a quantity, and go ahead and order that iPhone. Just like on Amazon.com, we give them a summary of the order, when it was placed, what the number is, when we expect the item to be delivered. And this completion date is driven by, behind the scenes, by a workflow. We let the user see a part of that workflow here, so they can track what's the status of their device. Has it been approved? Is it being purchased? Is it being configured? Is it out for delivery? Just like you'd see from a good e-commerce site. Now, hold the thought on the workflow for just a minute. I'm going to show you very soon how that's configured within the tool. But before we switch gears, I want to show you two other areas very quickly about that sort of illustrate the consumerization of the ServiceNow platform and how we brought some great technology to bear to make the service desk more efficient and make it easier to use for the end users. The first is our service desk chat. So this is an integrated chat module within ServiceNow. You can set up chat queues for technicians to monitor, and an end user can essentially begin to open a ticket right from this chat queue. The other area that I'll show you very quickly is what we call live feed. This is a collaboration stream that allows people to share information related back to certain topics. Now, those topics could be high priority incidents. So this is incident number 3, and you can see that there's a stream of information related to what was going on with that incident. These could also be related to projects. It could be really related to any task or anything within the ServiceNow platform. And we also have what we call the company feed, which is just a sort of company water cooler that shows you everything that people are chatting about within the organization. So these could be things like, what's for lunch today? Where do I get my new business cards approved? Or did anyone see the game last night? So that is really what I wanted to show you related to consumerization. Oh, one more thing. This is pretty exciting. In our Calgary release of ServiceNow, we've really doubled down on our mobile device support capability. This is our new iPad interface. If you can't quite tell, this is an iPad simulator. And what we're looking at right now is ServiceNow through the eyes of that iPad user. That keyboard. This is a full service, fully functional user interface for iPad. So I have access to all the same information. I can look at all the dashboards that we saw before. If I expand this out, you'll see that we have the same menu that we have in the main product. This is available instantaneously, let's say, from the ServiceNow platform. No additional configuration is necessary. It is an HTML interface, so it doesn't require a client on the iPad, which makes it very, very easy to manage. So from here, if I wanted to see all of these open incidents, I can click in, see a list view just like we saw before. You can scroll in. If you click on one of these, you get a very quick snapshot of the incident record. So very easy, works like a native application on iPad, designed to be very easy to navigate, very familiar. We also have iPhone and Android phone interfaces as well that are even more streamlined, and again are very valuable to your folks that are in the field. So that's the last I'll say about the consumerization of technology, about how we make a lot of this technology seem very familiar. In that way, it just requires a lot less training. It's a lot more enjoyable for people to use. So we'll move on to the last area of transformation, what we had talked about before. This is in the area of automation. And for us, we really, when we think about automation, we think about at the core is our workflow engine. So let's start there. This is remember when we placed that order and we saw the different phases that the order would follow through. Well, behind the scenes, we actually have a more detailed workflow that's driving those different phases. And this is how it's created, and this is how it's maintained. This is our ServiceNow automated workflow engine. It's the heart of the automation within ServiceNow. And it is graphical in nature. When I want to make changes or create a new one, I'm able to check this out. In a moment, you'll see, okay, this is checked out by me. From here, I can drag and drop items on this palette to make changes to the workflow. Now, on the right-hand side, you'll see all of the different activities that we could possibly use, things like approvals and conditional logic and notifications, sending emails and pages. Here's our orchestration activities. These are things that are provided by our orchestration capability, like creating new Active Directory users or provisioning virtual infrastructure, whether it's in EC2 or in VMware. You can see things like timers and SOAP and REST messages being sent from this workflow. And it's as easy as using Visio. So I can remove blocks here. I can grab an approval, drop that onto the palette here. And now you've got a little bit of configuration of this task. So let's call this manager approval. We can pick those users that are going to do the approval. So in this case, it was something that was being ordered. So maybe I'm going to add in the approval from the person who ordered it. I need the approval of their manager to get this started. But the great thing is that literally any of the users within the system can be leveraged to drive this workflow. So for instance, if I, instead of or including the manager, maybe I want to add in the person that manages the configuration item that we're requesting. So coming from a kind of a different vantage point, I'm pulling in two different people that are going to be involved in that approval process. From here, when I'm ready, I'm going to click submit, and now you can see we've got our new box here, and it's a matter of my coming in and reconnecting some of these lines in the appropriate way. Go to the drawing. And from here, I can publish. And then this becomes the new workflow for the service catalog request item process from here on out. So again, this is the heart of our automation within ServiceNow. I want to show just a really quick example of working through a process now. So keeping in the vein of automation, let's look at automating an incident process. So from here, I'm going to go in and just create a brand new incident within the incident application. I'll fill out a little bit of information about Joe employee who called in. Notice that the location is filled in automatically. Of course, we have category and subcategory. Here in the configuration item, I'm going to put in the business service that the user is calling about. So in this case, it's email. This configuration item field is pulling from the integrated configuration management database. If I hover over one of these decorations, I'll get a little bit of an inkling, a little bit of insight into the relationships between those configuration items. So on the left-hand side, you can see some of the underlying infrastructure that the email business service or CI depends on. On the right, you can see some of the upstream relationships that email service is involved with. If I click there, I get a graphical representation. This is a graphical representation of our configuration management database. Here's the business service where I started, email. To the left are all of the CIs that depend on that business service. And then to the right are all of the underpinning or dependent business services. To the right tends to be more infrastructure. So I've got email servers, I've got Exchange server, I've got this storage area network. Notice here, as an incident manager or somebody working the incident management process, I can see that there's something else going on this Exchange server. And I know that by this decoration. If I click on that, you'll see that I'll see all the tasks that are associated with that piece of infrastructure, with that CI. So I can see that there is a critical incident opened up by Jane Worker. From here, I can give Jane a call. I could perhaps escalate it to her team so that these are being directed and managed in the right way. So coming back to the incident management process, let's just really quickly say email is down. Kind of a broad description there. I'm not going to go through too much more of filling out this form. There's a lot of other things that you can do here. You've got metrics and service levels that can be very easily configured. But in the interest of time, we'll talk a little bit more about this process automation and show you from an incident with a simple right click, you can create a problem. Now, great thing about this is that we create a brand new problem. So of course, we still have the incident, but now we're into our problem management process of the root cause analysis. You can see that the configuration item, short description, a few other fields are brought over automatically into this problem. You can see that we're automatically associating this incident with the originating incident from this problem. I can even add in additional incidents if I want to include those. So now I'm creating additional relationships between the incidents, perhaps the originating incidents, and the problem management of the root cause analysis that we're going to be doing. From here, one more click, just save this guy. One more click, I can drop into our change management process. So right from here, again, automating this moving of process areas or the integration of these different process areas from incident to problem, how to change. Of course, we're copying over some of the relevant fields, and now we have our change record for our change team to begin their work. Incidentally, once this is ready to go and I request approval, you can actually see the workflow that is initiated. So again, just like on that service catalog item, we're seeing the workflow for the change management process. Same exact workflow engine, configured exactly the same way, regardless of the process. Okay, so we are pretty much at the end of a half an hour, just a little bit into the, a little bit over the timeline here, but I definitely appreciate everyone joining today. Hopefully this generates some interest in ServiceNow. We're really excited about the technology, and perhaps even more so, we're excited about what our customers have been able to accomplish and how they've been able to transform their IT departments in these three major areas: consolidation, consumerization, and automation. Look forward to speaking to you in the future. Everyone have a great day.